to in our discussion. So with that, I would like to have the next slide, and we will overlook what we will be doing in the meeting today. So in general, there will be introductions by myself, and I will introduce the ISU staff that will be present on site to assist you in attending to the athletes. We'll have presentations from the BOCOG, from the Capitol Indoor Stadium, which will host short track and figure skating, and that will be presented by Dr. Louis Sir. And then the National Speed Skating Oval will be presented by Wenhui Zhou. I will then have some further information with regards to the venues and the ISU interaction there. And then we'll have a question and answer session, and then I will close the meeting. I'd like to now introduce the slide of who will be present from the ISU to assist you at the venues. And you'll recognize many of these names. You'll see that the ISU and the IOC sport managers all work together to provide the venue medical care at the Olympics. I will be present as the International Winter Federation representative on the IOC Commission, but I will work closely with the assigned medical advisors to all of the venues. In the venues, you'll see that in speed skating, Dr. Marika Becker has been assigned as a primary physician there. Figure skating is Dr. Hiroya Sakai, and short track will be Dr. Eunhoo Kim. We will all work together with the Beijing organizing committee, who we have met and we've had communication with by Zoom, and we look forward to working with them there. They have implemented the ISU guidelines and the IOC guidelines for equipment and pharmacological supplies, and we will be on site prior to the competitions, and we'll be working with them in consult to provide medical care with the team physicians from the NOC when you arrive. From the ISU, we have extra venue support at these games, which is very much appreciated. And we have a COVID liaison officer, Laura Shi, and our anti-doping assistant is our manager from the office, Christine Cardis. And of course, you know all the sport managers who we always work closely with in providing our medical care: speed skating, David Brewer; figure skating, Raylan Luders, along with Patricia Mayer; and short track, Hugo Herhoff. So with that introduction, I would like to hand the floor and the screen over to the Capitol Indoor Stadium short track presentation and figure skating presentation to Dr. Leo Sir, if he's now online. And if not, I will do it. So this is the Capitol Stadium cluster. You have the main complex, which is the CTS. You'll see there. I think this is an area where there have been some competitions in the past. So some of you may have been familiar or had competitions in this venue previous to the games. The CTS is the short track training venue, and the CFT is a figure skating training venue. So that you can see that they're all in a cluster and they're all in a closed loop. I believe the office in the center there is not in the closed loop, but the other venues are all in the closed loop. These are our medical organizing committee assistants and physicians who have been instrumental in setting up the protocols and the venue. And we've been working quite closely with the venue medical manager, Jen Tian, and Dr. Louis, who was supposed to present, but unfortunately we haven't been able to connect with him. So if they are on the webinar, I hope that I am presenting your slides appropriately for you. And I'm glad that we've gone over them beforehand, and thank you for submitting them. And as you can see, they have outlined their pictures and the names of everyone there that you will be in contact with at the competition venue and also at the training sites. For the medical stations, for the field of play medical station, you can see that at the main station, they have 2 doctors, 2 nurses. And at the athlete medical station, they have, that's at the main stadium, one doctor, one nurse, and the ambulance, one doctor, one nurse, and one driver, and they have 3 shifts. At the short track training station, 2 doctors, 2 nurses, 2 shifts. The athlete medical station, 1 doctor, 1 nurse, and the ambulance is, as you see, 1 doctor, 1 nurse, and a driver. At the figure skating training venue, 1 doctor, 1 nurse, 2 shifts. The athlete medical station, 1 doctor, 1 nurse, and the ambulance, 1 doctor, 1 nurse, and 1 driver. So you can see they're very well staffed. These physicians and nurses have specialties in neurosurgery, orthopedics, sports medicine, and emergency, and some anesthesia. Thank you. This is the venue field of play station. They have a good view of the ice surface. They have an area where you can see the 2 standing next to the sign at the end of the steps. If you're visiting medical personnel for your team, wish to stand there with them, so you have access with them in the field of play, you're welcome to do so. If you prefer to stand with your team members, your team leader, you're welcome to stand there as well. But there is an opportunity for you to stand with the host medical team if that is where you prefer to be. This is the entrance to the athlete medical station. At the athlete medical station, you will be screened before you are allowed in, and you will be screened with a temperature check and be asked with regards to signs and symptoms of COVID before allowed into the venue medical station. This is the venue medical station. The area to the left is an area which can be used for resuscitation if necessary. There are 3 other separate rooms, which are consultation rooms, which the athletes will be treated in. So a total of 4 beds in the medical station. The visiting teams are welcome to use these beds to treat their athletes if it's required. This is the room off to the side, which there are 3 individual rooms. This is where the athlete will be treated and registered for their medical care. And as I said, the visiting team physicians are welcome to use any of these rooms. There is a physiotherapy room at the main competition area for physiotherapists to use. So the medical venue room is used for physicians, and the physiotherapist will use another room. This is their resuscitation area. They have AED medications, resuscitation medications, and all the medications are labeled, prohibited or not prohibited. And if an athlete is provided with a medication, it is put in an envelope, which we'll see later, which is indicated whether it's prohibited or not with a green or red line on it. I will be providing you a list of all the medications, both that are available at the field of play and in the venue medical room. It's too extensive to put here, but I will be placing those lists on the ISU website for you to review and to compare it to what you're bringing over to see if you need to bring anything different than what is being supplied by the IOCs. This is a map of the stations from the inside, and the circles show where the ambulance is located. There's an ambulance bay at each of the training venues and also at the main venue. This is a typical view of the ambulance. You can see that they're well stocked, stretchers on wheels, and they have all resuscitation within the ambulance as well as in the athlete venue medical station. This is their storage area for their supplies at the venue. They both have a clamshell stretcher and a regular stretcher with cervical collars on it. They are very well organized and labeled with all of their medications and supplies. They have AEDs, cervical collars, SAM splints, bandages, gauze pads, the list which was supplied for them by the IOC. Again, this is their resuscitation bay that has the AED, the monitor, supplementary oxygen. They have all the, you will see the equipment there. They have all the resuscitation drugs for cardiac, seizure, asthma, etc. They have labeled them. As you can see there, it's in Chinese. So it doesn't help me much, but they also have labeled them with a red and a green square to know whether they're prohibited or not. Similarly here. And if they give any medication out, I'm sure that the team physician will be present with their athlete at the room, but if not, they will be provided with this, and you can see that if it is a prohibited drug, it will be listed on the form and the envelope, and if it's not prohibited, it will be green on the bottom to make the athlete aware of the medication. This is a typical list of what would be available at the athlete medical station. But as I said, I will be providing you with a full list from the IOC pharmacist with what is available at the polyclinic, at the venue medical station, and also on the field of play medical kit as well. So the service time at the venues for the field of play, the host medical team will be 30 minutes before the competition or the practice starts, and it will close 30 minutes after the competition, where the athlete medical station will be present for an hour before the practice starts and will be closed an hour after the practice or competition is completed. If you wished your athlete or yourself to go with your athlete to the athlete venue medical station, you will be greeted at the triage table, the picture which I showed you. They will measure the temperature. If it's greater than 37.3 and you have other COVID symptoms, they will communicate with the CLO and the team doctor, and they'll follow the rules by the playbook. Oh, I need to go back, please, Ashley. So if you, then you will have a consultation. They'll communicate with the team physician during the consultation, and then there will be discussion where the athlete will be treated. Thank you. If the temperature is normal, they will be allowed to enter the athlete medical station, and treatment will continue in there. It's not just the temperature that is important, it's they must have other COVID symptoms. If they only have an elevated temperature, they will wait 10 minutes, the temperature will be retaken, and if the temperature is normal, they will be allowed in. But if they have other symptoms, they may be transferred and not allowed into the venue medical station. So it's not just the temperature, it's a myriad of symptoms, and the temperature will be taken twice. For the field of play, there is an injury on the ice. At the different short track and figure skating have different protocols to get onto the ice. We will be going over those with the host medical team and the technical officials when we get there. The team physician is allowed on the ice at the Capitol Indoor Stadium. So you will enter the ice, you will be communicating with the host medical team and with your athlete about the extent of the injury, assessing the injury, doing your primary survey and your initial first aid care. And at that time, depending on the injury, if it is a significant injury and definitive care cannot be made at the athlete venue medical, they will be transported to a hospital, and the team physician is allowed to attend in the ambulance with their skater. If it is evaluated that the preventative care can occur at the athlete venue medical station, along with the team physician, the athlete will be taken to the athlete medical station. Treatment will be provided there, and then transportation will be decided if they need to go to their polyclinic or elsewhere for further treatment. This is the venue map. For the red is the field of play for the medical station. The brown is a physiotherapy room that has 6 beds for visiting physiotherapists to treat their athletes. I've asked them to put on the doping control station. We won't necessarily be talking about doping here unless you have questions, but that is the area of the doping control station. So you can see where it is on the map. And the blue is the athlete medical station, and green is the ambulance. The field of play medical station, as you can see, is at the opposite corners of the rink, like you're used to seeing at our ISU events. So they will enter the field of play, and then the transport of the athlete, I think it's the next slide. So in short track, they have the ability, and they've been practicing, to jump over the pads, or you can also access where the green arrows are without jumping over the pads. And the access to the ambulance is by the route that you see with the red arrows there, and it goes right past the athlete medical station if that is where you decide to treat your athlete, or directly to the ambulance. You can see that the ambulance will transfer you to the Beijing University People's Hospital, which is the closest. This is a short track practice rink. Again, you can see the field of play medical stations are at either end. The athlete medical station is in blue, and the ambulance is in green. The route there is indicated in the next slide. Enter the ice surface, and then they will take either to the venue medical station or to the ambulance. At the training venues, there is currently no physiotherapy room listed. I have been in contact with them with regards to a physiotherapy room at the training centers, both for short track and for figure skating. And I'm currently in negotiation with them if we can find space and some plinths available for you to treat the athletes at the training venues. This is the figure skating training venue. Again, opposite corners of the rink can access the athlete. Access to the athlete medical station is at the far end, and access to the athlete is quite easily accessible if needed to be transported. The designated hospitals, if you don't have a fever, you'll go to the Peking University Hospital. That tells you how far it is, and it takes about 6 minutes to get there. Any infectious causes would be going to the Beijing Shenzhen Hospital, 8 kilometers away and 15 minutes. They have been practicing and preparing well for our arrival in Beijing. They've been doing rescue scenarios on ice on the side, and also, as you can see, they've been practicing getting over the pads quickly. They have, although they are in full hazmat suits, they actually have special adaptive non-skid shoes so that they will not slip on the ice with their hazmat suits on. We will be, the medical advisor assigned to the venue will be reviewing the protocols and running through the scenarios with them when we attend the games on site. Thank you. Okay.
So there was a question that was asked, so I think it was answered as well. So the first question was can the local medical staff speak English? So yeah.
Very good question.
Mhm.
I've asked that. Yes, there will always be an English-speaking person on the field of play so that the team physician and the ISU medical person there will always be able to communicate with the field of play, and there will be an English-speaking person at the athlete venue medical station as well.
Yeah. Okay. So the second question that was asked by Dr. Zima, do the local medical staff have facility and protocol for major trauma and shock?
Yes, they do. They have to from the IOC, and you will see in the equipment list and medication pharmacological list that I will post after the webinar, what they have available for the protocol for IV access and treating of shock. Yes.
Okay. Another question is, do they have the right to give any WADA prohibited drug to the athletes?
That's a good question, but I don't think so, but I would have to check that for sure. I believe that they would always check with the team physician prior to giving it, but I also would instruct your athletes not to take anything until they check with their team physician. And if necessary, they could check with the ISU medical advisor that will be on site.
Perfect. Another question is,
I'm just going to break that down to make sure that I check with them when I arrive.
absolutely. Yeah. So the question is, if an athlete has an elevated temperature and, for example, a runny nose from being on the ice, how will that be managed?
I think it would be managed by taking their temperature in and under 10 minutes.
All right.
We did have the BOCOG did have 3 COVID specialists that were supposed to sign in today to answer those types of questions, but I don't know, Ashley, if they are available. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think that there will be a medical advisor, an ISU medical advisor on site. And I think those are things that we will, when we're on site and communicating with them and working through the protocols the days before the competition, that those are the things that we will be able to have more of a direct conversation with. But I would think they would have to be more significant, like how long has it been there? What's the temperature? Repeat the temperature. And that would be a discussion between the team doctor, ISU medical advisor, and the host, I would think.
Hi, Jane. This is Dr. Liu from CTS. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you for presenting your PPT for the audience and ask questions for us. Thank you.
Well, I'm nice that you could connect with us at this time. Please feel free to join in. Do you have any response to those questions that I've addressed to add?
Okay. In our athlete medical station, our doctor can prescribe medication, but at first we will communicate and discuss with team doctors.
Okay, thank you.
And for the fever athlete skater, we will evaluate. If only fever without any other infectious disease symptoms, we will remeasure the temperature. If still high, it's okay. It's okay. So only fever, we will not do the isolation protocol. And if the skater running a fever, we will record it in the history, and that's all.
Okay. The question was if they have a fever, but quite often skaters on the ice get a bit of a runny nose. They always have Kleenex in their hands. What if they present to the athlete medical station with a slightly runny nose and a fever?
That's okay. Maybe only caught a cold. So if the skater is in his or her personal time, put a mask on, that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So also there are questions regarding, so the question was how far is the hospital, but I think that was covered in the slides.
Mhm.
The other question is, are there wheelchairs ringside in case skater cannot ambulate?
Yes, it's part of our ISU protocol to have a wheelchair present, but perhaps GK can comment on that.
Could he repeat question? The first question.
Is there a wheelchair present at the venue to?
Yes, we have wheelchair and we have the stretcher with wheels.
Thank you.
And another question, Shikai, is they say English speaking local medical staff, but what about at the hospital?
Sure, they can speak English frequently.
Perfect.
The other part of the question though was something else. Actually, I didn't quite hear you.
Yeah, just that. What about the hospital? If they can speak English at the hospital.
Yes, yes. The doctors in the hospital, in Peking University People's Hospital and the Shita Hospital, they can speak English.
Another question is, it's for both Jane and Shikai. It's can the team therapist go on the ice or just the team medical doctor?
It would be the team medical that is representing the skater at the time. Whoever is the team medical person at the ice surface at that time, it's important that we have either the therapist or the physician on the team with the skater to communicate in their language of choice.
Right. I think the Beijing team joined in. Can you please speak? Is it the speed skating oval team?
Sorry, pardon?
No, another attendee joined in from the Beijing 2022. So we were just wondering if it's the oval, the speed skating oval team that has joined in.
Wenwei Zhou?
Is this question for the speed skating?
No, we're just seeing if the speed skating team is available to present their slides.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
We just need someone else from Beijing 2022 sign in, and we wondered if it was the national speed skating oval team or not.
Right. So, Jane, do you want me to continue with the questions or? Presentation.
I think we can do the presentation. More questions
the
later.
national speed skating team is here. Can you hear?
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you. When Joe will be, is that you? Will you be presenting?
Sorry, this is the interpreter. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you.
I think they are still handling some technical problems with the, the national speed skating stadium. So can you wait for a few seconds?
Yes, I will. Then we'll answer a few more questions. Thank you.
Okay, we'll answer the questions. Okay, so
could you please?
So the next question, Jane, is related to COVID. So will the COVID positive athlete put to a normal COVID ward, or will the organizers provide a VIP ward for him/her? I will repeat the question again. Will the COVID positive athlete be put in a normal COVID ward, or will the organizers provide a VIP ward for the COVID patient?
I don't believe it is the normal. Okay. And Beijing 22, could you please mute your? I believe that the COVID positive patient is in an area not the same as the general public, if that is the question.
The question was, will they be put in a normal COVID ward, or will the organizers provide a VIP ward for this COVID positive athlete?
Yeah, and I'm interpreting that question to be normal COVID ward being the normal part of the Beijing population hospital, as opposed to a ward available, a quarantine area for the athletes. And I don't know that for certain, but I can check. Like reading the protocols, it appears that they have a separate quarantine area for the visiting officials and teams, but I would have to check that to be sure.
Got it.
I don't know if Shakai knows, and that's why I wanted to have the COVID people online, but they have not connected. Shaki, do you know? Shakai?
Okay, Jean, may I answer the question for the ward problem?
Yes, please.
Okay, in our hospital, for the Peking University People's Hospital and the Shida Hospital, and even the infectious disease hospital, we have separate room for athlete skater. So I think it's equals to the VIP ward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And one final question before I can check with the Beijing, the speed skating team. So the question is, skater has elevated body temperature. Will the OC automatically withdraw him/her from the competition? Or is there a chance for a rapid antigen COVID-19 test?
No, only fever. We will not withdraw the skater from the ice.
They would have to have other symptoms besides fever?
Following the protocol, we will discuss with the CLO and the team doctors.
Yeah, but fever alone will not withdraw them from the event.
Yes.
And similarly, a question relating to COVID again. So for COVID positive athletes with mild symptoms, is there a protocol for monitoring from their room, that is at home? If so, do we have access to oximeters from host medical, or should teams bring these? I will repeat the question because it's a big question. So for COVID positive athletes with mild symptoms, is there a protocol for monitoring from their room, that is at home? If so, do we have access to oximeters from the host medical, or should the teams bring these by themselves?
蔡哥，他问的是，如果这个核酸阳性的人，然后到酒店的话，他们主队的队医能看他们？
人就上在他那个叫什么新冠联络官和那什么同一情况下，才在医院才能看，别的这个不让看。他说可以给他提供必要的那种支持，但是原来就不让面对面。
Okay, for the skater has a positive COVID-19 nucleic acid test, we will send the skater to the hotel for the isolation. and we'll communicate with team doctor for the host team doctor can reach the skater.
Okay.
So they will not be allowed to be monitored at the Olympic Village in their homeroom. They will have to go into a quarantine area where the team physician can visit them. Is that correct?
No. If only the nucleic acid test positive, they can stay in their hotel.
Okay.
And if the team doctor want to see him or her, so we need to communicate with the CRO and the team doctor, so can make it possible.
Okay. And the question was, will they have an OT monitor to be monitoring them at their home hotel room?
Yes, sure.
So the team physicians do not have to bring the oxygen monitoring with them. They will be available through the host medical.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it with the questions for now. The other attendees can write in the question even now. So I'll just check with the Beijing team. Are you guys ready for presenting?
Hey, can
Yeah,
you mute your speaker?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the Beijing team, are you guys ready with your presentation? If you have problems in presenting yourselves, I can share my screen and maybe you can take it through and I will share it through my screen. So Jane, I have no response from the Beijing team. Should I just pull up their presentation?
Okay.
Should we? I hope that they understood what I'm trying to say.
Okay. We'll see if they
If they respond.
speak.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen.
Okay. Okay. Beijing, do you want to present your slides, please? Ashley has them prepared. Can you hear me? Are they still online, Ashley?
Let me check. They are on the call. They are muted themselves.
Oh, they're unmuted. Let's see
Yeah,
if they will present. Hello. They're unmuted. I don't know why they're not responding.
Yeah.
Beijing 2022, can you hear me? It's unfortunate that they are having difficulties today.
Yep.
We heard them nice and clearly before.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Okay, well, they're not communicating, so let's go forward with the slides and see if they can hear us.
Got it.
Beijing 2022, we're going to display your slides. If you'd like to speak to them, please let us know. Otherwise, I will present your slides on your behalf.
Okay, I'll just pull it up.
Yes, thank you, Ashley.
Yeah. Can you see my screen, Jay?
Yes, I can see your screen. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Beijing 2022, can you hear me? Do you want to present? It's unfortunate. So I will go ahead then. So this is a picture of the National Speed Skating Oval, and it is known as the Ice Ribbon, and it is a very new venue. It's not one that was used in the Beijing Olympics in 2008.
Sorry,
Perfect. Go
Jane,
ahead.
can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Why don't you present your slides? Ashley will move them forward for you.
Yeah, yeah, can you hear me now? This is the speed skating. This is the skating, national skating.
I can
speed
hear you.
skating.
We can hear you
Yeah.
very well. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
this is the
connecting.
interpreter.
Yes, please go ahead. Ashley can move the slide ahead for you when you're ready.
Yeah, Jane, this is the interpreter.
Yes.
Yes.
Jane, can you hear me? This is the interpreter speaking. This is the case. The speakers from the national speed skating team, they cannot, you cannot hear them directly. Do you understand? You cannot hear them directly right now, but you can hear me. So they will speak in Chinese and I will be translating in English. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine. Please go ahead.
It seems that the screen I am seeing now is not what I'm sharing on my computer.
No, it's Ashley's screen, and he will move the slide ahead when you're ready to see the next slide.
Okay, now let's begin the report about the medical plan of the National Speed Skating Oval. The National Speed Skating Oval is the only one newly built ice venue for these games. It has the largest area of ice and it can accommodate 12,000 audience. Next slide, please. And this is the athletes medical service system for speed skating. On the above, that's Huang Yi, the deputy director, and below that level, that's the medical managers, and also public health and epidemic prevention manager. And under the manager, we have coordinator and 2 medical officers. One is Liu Yuzhong, and the other one is He Xinhua from the emergency room. And also we established 2 FOP supervisors, Gao Chao and Qin Geng. And another one is for athletes medical station supervisor and ambulance supervisor. Next slide, please. This is the athletes medical service system. There are 2 FOP medical stations, 1 athlete medical station, 2 ambulances. And in the 2 FOP stations, we have 8 doctors, 8 nurses, and 8 medical assistants. For 1 athlete medical station, we have 6 doctors and 6 nurses. For 2 ambulances, there are 4 doctors, 4 nurses, and 4 drivers. All of those staff will be in the closed loop. Next slide. This is the basic information about FOP medical stations. For the 2 FOP stations, they're in the northern part and southern part. Each station is equipped with 2 doctors, 2 nurses, and 2 assistants on each shift. And also we will abide by the medical guideline and ISU medical guide. Also, each station is equipped with 1 stretcher for transfer with wheels. Next slide, please. This is the location of FOP stations. They are in the northern part and the southern part of the rink. And that's the B1 floor. And you can see the stairway leading to B2. Next slide, please. This is the procedure of FOP medical stations. When the athletes are injured in FOP and approved by the referee, and we will go to the ice to handle the athletes, and then we will transfer the athletes. If it is an emergency, we will transfer them to the hospital. If not, and the athlete is in need of further rescue, we can transfer the athlete to the athlete medical station. And also, if the athletes are in need of the on-site help, they can go to the FOP medical station for more medical services. But for your information, they must all conform to the requirements of the protocol. Next slide. This is the basic information of athletes medical station. It is located at the athletes preparation area on B2 with a total area of 115 square meters. There will be 3 doctors and 3 nurses for each shift. And also the equipment and drugs have been prepared according to BOCOG medical guideline and the ISU medical guide. Next slide. This is the location of athletes medical station. It's in B2. And you can see the stairway between B1 and B2. And on the southern side of the stairway, that's the medical station for athletes. And to the south of the medical station, that's the doping control station. This is the procedure of athletes medical station. The station can accept the patients from the FOP station. And if the athletes have any request, they can go directly to the athletes medical station for help. And we will receive and treat them according to the procedures. If they need to be transferred to the designated hospital, we will do that. Otherwise, we will just keep records of their information. Next slide. This is the location of ambulances on B2. As has been introduced, you can see the stairway leading to B1. And here is the athletes medical station on B2 on the othermost side, and below that, that's the location of ambulances and then parking area for athletes on B2. Here is a simulation scenario. If the athlete is injured in the venue, in the FOP, this is the rescue pathway. From the accident happened, the FOP medical station is 20 meters distance, and then we transfer the athlete to the stairway. It takes about 80 meters. From the stairway of B1, B2, we can also choose the green channel. It's about 150 meters. The red circle is the athlete's medical station, and in the middle, there are some media area. So to minimize the impact over the media groups, we choose to detour around the center area. So we go down along the green line and we come to the ambulance on the right side. This is the work in the medical stations inside the closed loop. You can see in the photos that the protective clothes of the medical staff and also the staff working for the ambulance. All of the staff must work according to the protocol. And this table is about the opening hours of medical stations. For FOP medical station, it's about 15 minutes before the competition or training starts or ends. For athletes medical station, it's opened 1 hour before athletes arrive or 1 hour after athletes leave. And you can also get the contact information. Next slide, please. This page is about the designated hospitals. In the closed loop, there are 3 hospitals receiving the athletes. They are Peking University Third Hospital, Beijing Anzhen Hospital, and D10 Hospital. The top 2 receive non-infectious disease patients, and D10 Hospital receive the infectious disease patients. You can also see the distance and the average transfer time for the 3 hospitals. That's all for my report. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. We can take questions now if you wish, and then I can continue on.
So there was one observation actually. It's by Dr. Zima. So it says hospitals on slide 16 differ from the first presentation. I think it's because it's different venues. So yeah. So this one is with the speed skating venue, and the previous one was for the short track and figure skating. So that's why the hospitals are different, because they are different venues. Another question is by Lauren. So is there a designated area for physiotherapy tables to be set up in the oval?
I have asked that question. I have not got an answer back on that question. I think they're looking into it, but perhaps Beijing 22 could answer.
So I will repeat the question, Beijing 22 team. Is there a designated area for physiotherapy tables to be set up in the oval?
Could you please explain the fixed area for what function?
Outside of the medical room is there a physiotherapy area for visiting team physicians or team physiotherapists to treat their patients, similar to what they have at the Capitol Indoor Stadium? A separate physiotherapy treatment room for visiting physiotherapists to use at the speed skating oval.
Physiotherapy is the job of the sports department of Beijing 2022. And also they have 14 locker rooms. And for every locker room, there will be a fixed area. According to my knowledge, they have such beds for therapy. So if the athletes arrive in the venues and have the needs for therapy, they can communicate with the sports department.
So in the sport room that the team is using, there will be beds available there for their physiotherapist. Is that what I'm hearing?
There will be some equipment and space for therapists. If they have the need, they can go to their team doctors and then they will arrange the therapies for the athletes.
And this area, it is where in the venue? Is it in the dressing rooms that are assigned to the team or somewhere else?
In the locker rooms of the athletes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Jane, there's one more question. Are team medical staff allowed to enter the oval first to help an athlete, or is the host medical the first responders? For example, during mass start competition.
Yes, I have discussed that with the venue manager, and we will need to discuss it further when we are on site. The response I received was, if the referee allows first of all, if the team medical is in the inner field, which they usually are, is the first thing. And the second one is, if the referee will allow it, the host medical does not have any difficulty, but it must be approved by the technical officials. So we will discuss that when we're there, but I do not see any reason why that would not be approved, but it needs to be discussed.
Thank you, Jane. So that's it for the questions for now. So I'll just pull up your remaining slides.
Okay, thank you. So I want to be sure that everyone attending this webinar, that we will once again hold what you know as to be the ISU medical meetings at each venue. So the information will be presented again. And once you're on site, if you have more questions and things, it can be brought up at the medical meeting. It will be hosted at each venue. So short track and figure skating will have a meeting at the Indoor Capitol Stadium. I believe that the figure skating meeting will be on February 3rd, and the short track will either be February 3rd or February 1st. I'm just discussing with the event coordinators what is the best timing and the availability of rooms to host those meetings. But the information will be available to you on your app when you arrive as to when the venue medical meetings will be hosted. For speed skating, again, we're trying to set a time. We're looking at the schedule, but you will be notified and there will be a venue medical meeting for the questions and to actually introduce you to the host medical team, which is there, so that you will get familiar with each other. At the Olympics, as you know, you normally fill out the medical record for the IOC, so there will not be any ISU medical records to fill out. But if one of your skaters, for whatever reason, has to withdraw from a competition, the ISU withdrawal forms will be used. At the Olympics, all the anti-doping testing is under the review of the International Testing Authority. It's responsible for in-competition and out-of-competition testing. Pedro Goncalves is working with the ITU, and if you have any questions with or ITA, if you have any questions with regards to that, I can answer some of them. But if there's ones I can't answer, then you're more than welcome to use that email to ask directly the questions with regards to any testing that will be occurring at the Olympics. I will reiterate here, which most of you are probably aware of, the change with glucocorticoids in January of 2022. So currently, glucocorticoids orally are prohibited in competition and intra-articularly as well, which is the change. So any intra-articular or peritendinous injections that might have been approved before now are prohibited without a TUE. So just so that you're aware of that, it's a huge change for many of us, so please be aware. Okay. So access to information, this webinar is being recorded. So if I know there are people that with the time zone have been unable to join the webinar, but they're more than welcome to go onto the ISU website where will be posted and it's all been recorded. As I said, also there, I will send you a list of the equipment that is present at the venue medical room, a list of equipment that will be present by the host medical at the field of play, a list of all the pharmacological supplies in the polyclinic, and a list of the pharmacological supplies at the field of play and at the venue medical clinic for your information. The meeting is recorded. This is where you can find it. It'll be on the ISU website under the Clean Sport Medical section. It will also be in the ISU development projects of the YouTube channel. And the questions and answers that we've been doing will also are all recorded, and hopefully we've answered the majority of your questions. I'm happy to answer a few more if you have them. And are there any other questions?
No, Jane, I think we covered it all through it. Yep.
Brilliant, good.